Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zillow Academy. My name is Brad Anderson. I'm going to be your host. Actually, I'm going to be your co-host today. I have a very special guest joining me to go inside and under the hood of the Zillow Zestimate. Would you please give a nice Zillow Academy warm welcome for my co-host and guest today, PhD, senior economist from Zillow, Skylar Olson. Good morning, Skylar.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Brad.
Sure. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Well, I know we have a lot of people excited to hear about the Zillow Zestimate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the controls here and let you go ahead and take it away.
Alrighty. Now, so this is a good opportunity that I have here to kind of give the basic kind of underlying framework of the Zestimates, and I'll try and put it into a way that is easily understandable. Right, so our team at Zillow, the analytics team in general, is divided into two groups. You can think about it. So one group, and we're going to talk about their bread and butter today, are the PhD mathematicians, statisticians, and computer scientists that make the Zestimate. Okay, the other side of our team, we have economists and other analysts, and what we do, our bread and butter, is to eat the Zestimates, or just really explain them and digest them, and as well as many of the other metrics that are made by our smart folks here on our team to try to explain what's happening in the marketplace. So the Zestimates are very important to our work, so let's see how they're made. Now, those really smart human beings who work on the Zestimate, they would tell you that the key ingredient to coming out with a good evaluation in any statistical framework is to start with good data. Okay, at Zillow, we have a great opportunity to work on one of the largest data sets out there, and our data generally comes in three forms. Okay, we've got the physical attributes of a home, so here you're thinking beds, baths, square footage, right? As well as all previous tax-assessed valuations. So that enables us to look into the past and see how homes compare, right? And it's also another reflection of value. And the linchpin here, the really key part about our database is all the prior sale prices. Because what will a home, what is a home worth? Well, it's worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So those are great signals of value. Now, once I have my data set, I'm going to put it through a process. Okay, the first stage in that process is to clean all the transactions. I want only those transactions that reflect normal consumer-to-consumer sales. Right? I want to get rid of all non-arm's length transactions. Right? I don't want mothers selling to sons. I will remove all auctions, all foreclosures. Now, that doesn't mean that those types of homes out on the market don't impact value, right? But they'll impact it in the way that a normal sale is affected by a foreclosed home down the street. Right, so an effect on, alternative supply, right? So, okay, I'm left with a clean data set. I have only valid arm's length transactions that I think reflect normal market conditions. Well, normal sales, right? The market can, of course, be normal and abnormal and changing and all the time. Now, I have clean data. Now I'm going to train my models. Okay, now this training phase, all this really is done is using recently sold homes, so using that information, those sales prices, to form relationships between prices and characteristics of homes, whether or not those characteristics are the physical ones that we talked about. What is the value of an extra 100 square feet? What is the value of an extra bathroom? Down to locational value. What does it mean to be by the water? Right? Other things that are reflected in the model. Okay, so I now have relationships between sales and characteristics of homes. And then in the scoring phase, I can apply those relationships to all homes, or homes that have not even sold recently. And that's one of the great strengths of what we do here, is that we can then value every home in America based on the current market conditions. Okay? Now, I'm going to get and talk to the training stage a little bit later, but first I want to remind you, back from when you took your first intro stats class, in early days of college, right? That what pops out from a statistical model is is this estimate, right? And it's a point estimate. Now, with every estimate, it's associated with a confidence range. Okay, now we publish these on our home display page, but let's talk a little bit about that range. The wider the range, the less confident we are in that Zestimate value, right? It means that there are wide sources of error. These are neighborhoods where maybe there hasn't been a lot of transaction lately, so we're not getting a lot of price signals. Maybe these homes are very unique, right? Luxury markets in particular have this problem, right, where different homes have features that are not really quantifiable in the model in the sense that there's not a lot of comps. Think about it the same way that you guys think about comps, right? Now, if that range is very narrow, it means that we're more confident. There's probably been a lot of similar sales recently, right? There are a lot of comps available. Now, we don't strictly find comps. You know, I'll talk a little bit more about the trending process and how it's very different from that, but you get the general idea, okay? Now, I promise you that the Zestimate, 50% of Zestimates are too high relative to real sale prices, and 50% of the Zestimates are too low. It is an unbiased estimator, okay? So I've got a point estimate that falls within this range, right? And it's supposed to be unbiased, 50% too high, 50% too low. Now, once I narrow down into a specific house, right, you guys know that that value is either too high or too low. And why do you know? You know because you observe unobservables that the model can't capture, things that are not quantifiable, right? The Zestimate can't know the je ne sais quoi of the foyer, right? It can't know the intriguing layout that flows through nicely through the home, right? It can't know that you know, the downstairs bathroom is the size of a closet, right? And there are a lot of different non-quantifiable things that don't go into the Zestimate. Those are your error terms. You know the error terms, right? So the Zestimate starts off as a tool. Now let's talk a little bit more about that training process here, okay? Now the first thing that our scientists do is they're going to divide a market into different sets of similar homes. We're going to call those microregions. Now those sets of similar homes, they don't have to be near each other. For instance, all one microregion are all waterfront properties, right? Another microregion would be kind of think other similar sets of homes like the cookie cutter type suburban cul-de-sac neighborhoods, right? That would be another microregion, right? They could be across town, but we would expect them to have similar patterns in their pricing. Okay, now within each microregion, we're going to run a lot of different kinds of models. Okay, now these models are going to range from more simple models that you may truly remember if you took an intro stats class, something like a linear regression, right? So a hedonic version of a linear regression would be putting prices on one side, and then I'm trying to value all the different attributes. So, you know, I have beds, baths, and square footage on the other, and I'm estimating what is the value of an extra 100 square feet? What is the value of another bathroom? Right? It can range to things that are more complex. Think of a geospatial model, focuses more on what's the value of this home or what's the price signal because of all the other sales that are happening around it, right? This is your location, location, location. Okay, KNN stands for K nearest neighbors. I could evaluate or try and get price signals from 25 of the nearest homes, right? 25 is the nearest most similar homes, right? Different ways of pulling out similarity and comps, right? Very advanced methodology using the most latest machine learning techniques, support vector machine learning, that's SVM, right? So really the modeling approaches range very widely, okay? Now that's each one of those submodels. I'm going to use a different kind of technique, a different approach, right? And each one of those models is popping out a number on every home. This is, you know, kind of your pre-Zestimate number. Okay, that's where the meta model comes in. Now what the meta model does is uses advanced machine learning techniques to understand the changing accuracy in each one of these different submodels. Now it knows that one model does a very good job, so it's going to place more weight on the number that came out of that submodel. Right? A different submodel is going to do less well in estimating within a certain region, and we know that because we're going to compare the estimates to real sale prices. And so the meta model will put less weight if it does less well. Right? Now, placing weights on all those different submodels, think of what the meta model is doing. It's a little bit like a winemaker, right? A little bit of Chardonnay, a little bit of Riesling to make the perfect Zestimate blend. Okay, so that final number that's computed is an agglomeration, really, of all these different modeling approaches. Okay, now let's think of the scope of that problem. Back in 2006 when we started, we were focusing on 60 million homes, and that required us to run 34,000 models 3 times a week. Those estimates are updated 3 times a week. Okay, now we've less than doubled the amount of homes that are covered, yet we way more than doubled the number of unique models that are run 3 times a week. That moves us from an accuracy of a 13% median error down to 6.9, or if you round 7% median error. Now let's talk about what median error means. That means if I put all homes where we're very far off, that sale price turns out wasn't very close at all to that Zestimate on one side of the room, and on the other side of the room I'm going to put all the homes where we were right on the money, and we're going to order them that way in a line. That middle home, in the very middle of that line, that home would be 7% off. Now it's just as likely to be 7% too high as 7% too low unless you're a realtor, you're boots on the ground, you observe those errors and those non-quantifiable elements of this home. Right? Now, if median error isn't a intuitive thing for you to think about it in terms of bins, right? What falls in different buckets. 38% of Zestimates fall within 5% of sale prices. 85% of Zestimates fall within 20% of sale prices. When are Zestimates more than 20% off? Generally, it has to do with missing data, right? Generally, it also has to do with incorrect data, right? Update your home, fix those facts. And in other cases, it just has to do with the fact that there are not a lot of similar transactions happening nearby those homes, or the home itself is very unique, right? There are unobservables. Remember that error term. Now, as much as we're committed to accuracy, when we talked about that dramatic increase in the number of models that we run, every week, right? We're also committed to transparency. So scroll down to any page on Zillow, click on About Zestimates, and you'll get to a page that discusses the Zestimate methodology and also brings you to the table that you see in front of you. Now, this table provides that median error rate and those different bin cutoffs, right, for every metropolitan area that we cover. Okay, you can also click on a different link, and you can bring you down to the error rates within different zip codes, right? Some zip codes were much less accurate than in others, right? Many metros were better than other metros, and it all depends on data quality, transactional velocity, and just the kind of market that we're functioning in, right? How systematic is it? How predictable? Okay. Now, one last shameless plug to kind of prop up my team here. So I mentioned that team that the analytics team at Zillow is broken apart into two groups. One group, these are the quant guys, these are the data scientists. They make the Zestimates. We have another team who eats those estimates, digests them, analyzes the market, and then presents our findings for the world. We publish all of our different data metrics that you can download and use on our website, zillow.com/research/data. If you're data savvy and you want to use these metrics for your business, feel free. We report things like median sale to list price ratio, the percentage of listings with a price cut, days on market. Other types of indices are better for kind of market analysis, things like the median value of all homes, the median rent. We also provide forecasts. We discuss underwater homeowners and the the share of negative equity. Also relevant to you, we produce these PDFs that you see an example in front of you here. We update this once a month. It provides many of the important metrics to understanding a market, how it's moving, how it's progressing. We have one for real estate and then another for metros, and we focus on different real estate is another for rentals, and we focus on different metropolitan areas across the U.S. So check out that, and we also write many articles explaining our economy and the housing markets that are out there. So again, thank you so much for having me, and I hope you find a lot of value in this work.
Skylar, that was a great explanation and a detail of the secret sauce that goes into this estimate. I think people will come away now realizing that it is, it's a complicated, very sophisticated process that, Zillow obviously takes very seriously. But knowing and understanding that process, I think arms, agents and those who have these discussions and conversations about this estimate much better understand and be able to articulate why they are the expert in the field, in the trenches, and able to help the customer come up with the fairest market value on a local level. So thank you so much. Just to let everybody know, if you want more details regarding how to utilize that tool that Skylar was talking about, the data and accuracy table. We have these recorded sessions here at Zillow Academy where we go into depth on how to use that as a tool. We also explain and show you how to teach a homeowner or share with the homeowner how they can claim their own home and post their own estimate, which opens up the opportunity and allows you a chance to subtly market yourself on an individual property's home. If a consumer claims their home and says they received the CMA from the agent, it's a great opportunity for you to post your contact information in the same area where that homeowner is posting their own estimate. For more classes like this, please join us at zillow.com/academy or